Cool.
I don't make any money. Not yet.
Hi guys. My name is Mountain, like Rocky Mountain, and I am the founder and CEO of the Crown Professional Barefoot Dress Shoe. And it's right here. What it is it's a shoe that when you wear it, it feels like slippers, but when you look down, they look like ordinary dress shoes. And it's part of the whole barefoot lifestyle that a lot of people have come to embrace, whether it's through the ever popular Five Fingers, the viewer Five Fingers you see them at the gym, or some of the other ones. And I want to start with a question. How many of you guys have your own business? How many of you guys have thought about opening your own business? Cool. Now, I kind of want you to kind of pull up that idea again, like bring it up to your head, recall what it was and how far you went along with it for a second, and then I'll proceed. So as you can tell, I really like alliteration, Asian American accountant, barefoot business beast. So a little bit of my background. I grew up in the 626 Hacienda Heights, home of Fergie from, yeah, that is our claim to fame. I was MASA finance chair and Fusion welcoming in 2006, Confusion dancer 05, coordinator in 06, and this is kind of how my major was. I also bounced around a lot. Like Matt, I came in as a poli-sci major. I really liked history. I wanted to apply it to modern times and be able to do like diplomatic work or something like that. And then I got a little freaked out about job security, so I gave a shot at the hard sciences. I took Math 20 series, I took the Chem 6 series, and I ended up with like a 2.3 science GPA. So I was like, well, doesn't matter if I like it or not. I'm just not good at this. And so I tried accounting, and I was good at it. In fact, I was good enough that I considered changing schools. But real quick, this is a picture of us from 05 and 06. Beautiful people, beautiful dancers. So I moved back home in 2006 when I realized I wanted to go down this CPA path because it had a lot of flexibility in where exactly you wanted to take that career. Just so you know, I was on Barcata Modern very briefly in 2007. So if you really like dance, work hard in Confusion and you can kind of take it to the next level. In 2008, I won my dream internship with a Big Four firm. And this was kind of like the culmination of everything that I had sacrificed, leaving all my friends at UCSD, and then just like moving home again. You know, that's always kind of a bummer. And through that internship, I realized I didn't like the work that much, and I think my employers also realized that. So I didn't get an offer, which is something that is, they say it's usually pretty much guaranteed when you have an internship at one of these firms. So I lost my dream job in 2008, and I just didn't know what to do then. I graduated from Cal Poly in 2008, recession hit, and I was searching for a job for about 6 months. So since then, I worked 2.5 years in corporate accounting. I found a job in 2009 here in San Diego. I got my CPA's license in 2010, and things started to take off from there. I finished a marathon completely barefoot in 2010. It was in LA, so it was Dodger Stadium to Santa Monica. And the distance still baffles me. I can't believe I did that. I became a state champion powerlifter in 2012. I deadlifted 347 pounds at 123 pounds body weight. And this is me climbing a tree barefoot during a rainstorm. It was for a photo shoot that some Norwegian business magazine did. And this is me deadlifting 347 pounds. I have a snarky little caption on there. I'm not a fan of P90X. In March of 2012, I took a road trip around the USA with Cherry, and it was 10 weeks. I say it is my study abroad since I never got to go on that. This is the general map of where we went. We didn't get to go to Florida, unfortunately, but we'll hit up next time. UMF. This is us in New Orleans. This is one of my favorite places to visit during our road trip. And this is us in a lake in Wisconsin. We were visiting our factory, and our contact at the factory took us to his lodge. This is a shot of Cherry on a canoe in front of me. I started a business. Took me about $8,000, a little less than $8,000, to truly market test it. We have $55,000 in gross pre-sales at the moment. We break even at $74,000, and it's pure profit from there. Our shoes are coming in May, and things are starting to really take off. That is another shot of the shoe. You guys already saw it. So what changed during that time from when I lost my dream job to where I am now? I would say most of the credit has to go to this book that I read. It's called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. And in this book, it really just changed everything that I thought I wanted from my life as far as success. Like, my plan at that time was to work really, really, really hard until I was 35 and have enough money to retire from there. But this book, he says that it's not a very smart plan, because if you, not only is it unsustainable, like, to be honest, I don't think I can work that hard, really, like, even if I wanted to. And the other thing is, if you work until you're 35 and do nothing else, when you retire, you don't know what to do with yourself. Like, you stop playing for 15 years and you don't know how to start back up again. And usually people who retire at 35, they go back to work. The other thing that helped a lot was having an accountability group. It's also called a mastermind. Basically, you meet up once a month, you share your goals from the last month and whether you met them or not, and then you project forward a month and say, what am I gonna get done before meeting you guys next month? And this has been super, super valuable. When I was first starting this business, I had a little hiccup, and I said maybe I should slow this down. And my friend said, no, you gotta strike while the iron's hot. Your window of opportunity is closing really, really fast, and you just gotta get on this. And I said, like, okay, well, yeah, I'm just being a wuss, so I'll get back at it. And I wouldn't be where I am today if he didn't tell me straight up, like, this is what I think. You need to, well, what I did was I started pursuing interests and hobbies more fully, and the friends that come along with them. When I was in college, it was always kind of in the back of my mind that I had to do something for career, for academics. I didn't work that hard, but I always felt like I needed to reserve a little something just in case I have like a big essay or a big project to do. I didn't really allow myself to fully indulge in a hobby and really just get good at something that I enjoy doing. And once I started working in a corporate job, not having that little study thing in the back of my mind anymore, I was able to start exploring the things that I really love. That includes the barefoot running, powerlifting. I really like to cook steak, just stuff like that. And this is something that I did for myself. I read some books on philosophy, and I started to abandon the notion of a static self. I stopped trying to define myself and just open myself to experiences. And I realized that, I have a history, but that doesn't really matter, and just really be able to open myself up to new experiences. And one thing that's helped a lot is know who I don't want to be. I'm not really good at setting goals, but I'm good at setting anti-goals. So as far as the whole powerlifting thing goes, I knew I didn't want to be a weak person. So I made myself as strong as I could be. And I don't know how far that can take me, and I'm not going to set like an unrealistic number where I would hurt myself, but I know I don't want to be weak. And with entrepreneurship, I know I don't want to be the type of person who just kind of talks about it all day, who reads a lot of business magazines, but for years and years does not have a business to speak of. So that's kind of helped me get to where I am today. So these are some of the mental barriers that people have to entrepreneurship. The first one is you need to have lots of money. Second one, you need to be really smart. Third, you need experience. Fourth, you need to work really hard. We'll come back to these later in the presentation. So here are some of the ideas that I scrapped. First one is dance seduction. My style when I dance hip hop is really R&B. When I freestyle, people say like, oh, you look like Neo. And I thought maybe I can monetize that somehow, but then I realized that no, I probably can't. I'm not like a big name dancer. It would be a lot of effort for me to reach out to people. And fortunately, one of my friends has been able to successfully pull this off. His name is Chi, and if you want to learn dance seduction moves, check out his website, danceseduction.com. The other thing was I started this Facebook group in 2005 called All Asian Boys Have Killer Abs. And it grew to maybe like 2,000 something members. So I thought maybe I could do something with it, like make merchandise, start up a community, forums, but it just wasn't there. Like, I wasn't getting the sort of community feedback that I wanted to. And the other thing was my grandpa wanted to learn how to use the internet and computers because he was getting really old. And I thought maybe I can put together like an information product. So I had my brother take like these little stock photos for me to run ads in the Chinese newspaper, but we never actually went through with it because I thought about like, well, how am I gonna get like this manual to the Chinese seniors if they don't know how to use a computer, and I don't want to deal with like shipping books out, so I scrapped that idea too. So, you know, it took a while to kind of get to what I wanted to do. So how this started was in May of 2009, I found out about 5 fingers and barefoot running. The principle is that we evolved to be persistence hunters. Out of any other animal in the world, we can run the furthest. Not the fastest, but the furthest, because everything about us is kind of built for running. Like we have an Achilles tendon that bounces really well, saves us a lot of energy when we're running. We don't have too much hair. Well, I have a lot of hair, but most of you guys don't, and it allows you to perspire really easily. We have these big, powerful lungs that allows us to be able to communicate while we're running. So everything about us is like built for running, and we didn't need thick-soled shoes in order to run really far, and we were supposed to be able to do it really well without getting hurt. And so this idea really appealed to me, and I got into it, and that's how I ended up finishing the marathon. That's what they look like. I did the LA Marathon, and afterwards, when I tried to go back into my dress shoes, show up to work again, I couldn't stand them, and I tried to saw off the heel. It destroyed my dress shoes, and I was like, no! And you know, in that little moment of crisis, I realized, hey, like maybe I can make my own. I looked online, and I didn't see anything that was kind of up to my taste, whether in the barefoot department or the dress department, and I was like, I gotta make my own then. One of the tips in 4-Hour Workweek is to hire people who already know how to do things better than you. So I thought, I don't know anything about finding factories, I don't know anything about sourcing, so why don't I hire this Indian consulting firm to help me out? So I put together a list of requirements. I think I was pretty detailed about it, and they said, okay, cool, like, we'll get back to you in 1 week, we'll spend 20 hours on it, and we'll charge you $20 an hour. And so I was like, okay, $400 to start business, that's not so bad. And so 1 week went by, 2 weeks went by, and then 2 months went by, and I was like, okay guys, stop what you're doing and give me a list of what you've done so far. I'm gonna check on this. So the first place I called, they said, I'm sorry, like we only make like $1,000 totally custom orthotic shoes where we like laser scan your foot and make it just for you. I was like, no, that's not what I want. The second place I called, they said, we only make the back of the shoe. We don't make the whole shoe. And the third place, they said, I tried to tell your agent or whoever he was, but I don't think his English was very good. I tried to tell him that we're a shoe repair shop, not a shoe factory. And I was like, God, this is a mess. And so what I ended up doing was I would just Google, and in the morning before I go to work, I would cold call factories listed on a website, and I would look at their information, and I found 3 leads as a result. One of them told me, hey, we'll be at a trade show in Vegas, come meet us, and we'll talk about the idea. And it just so happens that when we met with him, all the key players were also at the table. So he had his designer from California there. He had his outsole and last maker from Missouri also at the table. So we were just hashing through this idea, and like these really old school footwear veterans were just helping me build this, bring this to life, and it was just really, really amazing. There was so much good energy there, and I was like, I'm gonna work with these guys. So in January 2011, we get our first sample, a lot of emails back and forth trying to get the design finalized throughout those months, and then finally in August 2011, we filed a design patent. And that's when I was able to kind of bring the project into the public and tell people about it. In September 2011, we filmed a promo video with Chang. Do you guys know Chang? Chang, yeah. He did a really good job on it. This is a little screenshot from it. As you can see, Cherry was also a star in the video. You'll notice that the model in the video is not me, but somehow he was able to fit in my size 7 shoes. Well, he actually wasn't. It's a little trick of the camera. He was wearing his own shoes, and then when we zoomed in, I took his place. That's my first time revealing that to the public.
Movie magic.
Yeah, movie magic, basically. When you bootstrap like this, you just gotta be really innovative about it. In October with this video, we launched an Indiegogo campaign. It's kind of like Kickstarter. We didn't get on Kickstarter, they didn't approve us and didn't tell us why, so oh well. And through this, we were able to raise $13,000. We were aiming for $50,000, and this is a constant reminder of how badly I failed. But at the same time, it was also good enough that I realized, people are willing to put down money for this shoe, and that means I do have a valid market here, even though it's not a $50,000 market within 2 months. And thanks to a lot of my friends' support for putting in money early and showing me that this is something that they want. EFAN included, thanks so much for your long-time support of this product. So I kind of wanted to talk through how much everything cost for us to get to that point where we had the video. So design fees with the shoe company were $2,000. They told me they cut us like a really, really big slack. Usually costs them like $20,000 to do this. Initial equipment to make the outsole, to make the shoe, about $2,800. It's a bit more expensive up front because there's tooling and design fees involved too. Patent search and filing, legal fees, about $2,000. Videography, $1,000 total. And so we're looking at a little bit less than $8,000. So it's a good chunk of money, but it's not that much to start a business if you think about it. If you want to start a restaurant, probably the first business that people think of creating is you're looking at anywhere from $125K to $500K. If you want to go smaller scale, even a food truck will cost you at least $30,000. And so in the book 4 Hour Work Week, he talks about ways to build a business for much, much less than I did. Footwear is very complicated. There's a lot of different sizes, a lot of different parts to it, so it would be a bit more expensive. Hey, tell him come on in. What's up? And so there's actually a book called The $100 Startup. I haven't read it myself, but it sounds like a really interesting read. I mean, I'm not going to read $100 Startup if I already spent $8,000. But check it out if you guys want to learn, like see a few case studies about how people have started income-generating business on the really cheap. In January of 2012, we bought a legit $300 dress shoe. Our shoe is kind of priced at this range, so I thought it would be really good for me to find out exactly how one looks like. I should have done that way, way earlier, and lesson learned, don't be cheap, just freaking buy the thing. And it just opened up so many revisions and possibilities that I wanted to take the shoe. So production was set back a lot. March of 2012, we quit our jobs and we hit the road. May 2012, we come back to San Diego, and we kind of just sat around a lot then. We tried to do a lot of personal development, but as far as business-wise, it was mostly just waiting on the factory. July 2012, I get my first non-size 7 samples for me to send to people so people can actually put these on and say, like, hey, these are real. I actually had someone write on my Facebook wall, like, hey, these are starting to look like a scam now. And I was like, rest assured, this is real. So these first samples go out to testers, they like them. But it turns out that one of the key parts of building the shoe didn't fit on the machines as they went up into bigger sizes. They didn't fit on the machines, and we're like, oh my god, like, we might have to change factories. We might have to make a shoe that is not resonant with my true philosophies on how footwear should be. I don't want them to be too narrow. But we kind of have a minor breakdown. I tell Cherry, like, maybe we had to start looking for a job now. And she really didn't want to work again, so she started scrambling and thinking about how she could, build a little something on the site for herself and do what she loved. And so she started cherrytopping.com, her party apparel for the bold and adventurous.
She's not for sale, unfortunately. But I do know her.
So I just wanted to throw that in there to show that in a lot of adverse, negative situations, you can really bring out the most creativity in yourself. And so that whole manufacturing issue turned out to be okay. They did make the shoe narrower, but they also kept the same overall circumference. So overall, the shoe was still very roomy in the toe box. And that way, it just made the shoe more comfortable, surprisingly. So we rolled ahead. In November 2012, we launched our website again. We started taking more pre-orders. And that's how we took it from 13,000 to 55,000 that we're currently at. And in January 2013, we placed our first order with our shoemaker, and that was a very good day. Next month, the shoes finish, and as you can see in this picture, we just got some of our first pieces of inventory. These are shoe trees that I'm including with every pair of shoes that's sold. Shoe trees are very, very essential to the longevity of a good dress shoe. They soak up moisture, they retain the shape of the dress shoe. And we just got these. They showed up in a big old truck, and we stuffed them into our apartment like God knows how. And now we're gonna stuff another, couple hundred shoes into our apartment. We're clearing out our bedroom and rearranging it at the moment. And we're gonna have to like pick and pack and ship all these out once we get them in May. So that's where we're at right now. I kind of wanted to open these up again. So first, you need to have lots of money. This is false. It cost me about $8,000 to market test my product, which is really the most important phase. You don't want to spend, I told you my break-even point is $73,000. Like if I spent $73,000 without knowing whether I would sell a single one of them, like that would terrify me. I wouldn't even do that. But $8,000 I'm comfortable with. And you can do it in other industries for much, much, much slower. So the second thing is you need to be smart. False. Well, granted, we're all here at UCSD, we're all pretty smart, but you saw my science GPA. I'm not, if you did better than me, then you're smarter than me. You need experience? This is false. You learn by doing. I did have an accounting background, and this allowed me to do that upfront analysis of when things break even, how many units I need to sell in order to get to profitability. And this helped a lot, like just gauge my risk. But I can teach you break-even analysis in like an hour of your time. And really like everything else, the marketing, website, sales, these things can kind of just be learned on the fly. And the best way to learn things is by doing them. And what better way than to actually have a business where you can do it in. So you need to work really hard. This is false. Having the internet these days makes things much, much easier. If I had to actually like fly out to, or like just talk on the phone all the time with my manufacturer, that would have been so much more difficult to design a shoe like between Wisconsin and California. But with the internet and little Microsoft Paint, we were able to communicate effectively and get this taken care of. And so, internet for the win. We are personally fulfilling all of our first orders for this first run, but once we kind of understand the system, we can outsource it to a fulfillment center who would kind of pick and pack all the rest of it. So we never have to actually put our hands on shoes. It just kind of runs seamlessly through a system. So all that is false. What you do need is you need to provide value that people are willing to pay for. This is very, very important. I think this is probably one of the biggest trip-ups of people who want to set off on their own. You need to, you're not a business unless you're making money, So you need to be able to provide value that people will pay for, and you find out whether they will pay for it by testing it. You need to act without certainty. You need to be fairly comfortable with not knowing what's going to happen next and yet still doing it. You need to act. You need to HTFU, JFDI. That means harden the fuck up and just fucking do it, And this relates back to my powerlifting experience. Like, I highly doubt I was the strongest 123-pounder of Allo, California, but I was the only one who competed. So I had the title, And can I make the best barefoot dress shoes out there? I'm sure someone is able to, but they didn't, To reach out for help and information. So one of the things that I got from one of my mentors, Ryan Holiday, he says when you're trying to make a big decision, you don't ask for advice. You don't ask for people to tell you what to do. You ask them for information. You ask them like what were their experiences, what are the experiences that they've heard of from other people, and you find information. And so you have to be willing to reach out to others, to put yourself out there and say like, hey, like I'm doing this, like could I ask you some questions, could I meet you up for coffee or something like that, and send them a thank you note afterwards. To offer help and information. I feel good now that I'm kind of finally at a point where I have an experience where people can come to me and ask like, oh, hey, like I'm trying to start this thing, like let's say one of my friends wants to start a crowdfunding campaign, like how do you do it? And just I'm able to share my experiences, what I did right, what I did wrong. And another great thing about having a physical product such as these is that if I like somebody, I'm just like, if they help me a lot, I'd just be like, hey, like, bro, can I hook you up with a pair of shoes? So that's really cool. You need to be able to face criticism, rejection, and sometimes outright hate. Yes. So one of the biggest examples of this was that I posted about ourselves during the crowdfunding campaign on Reddit, and there was like a good amount of upvotes compared to downvotes until this one person, he made it his personal mission to like destroy me. He started like a whole other thread saying like, hey, I don't think this paleo subreddit should be having anything besides diet, and he just, I don't know, he's just like trying to personally destroy me, and I had to try really hard not to take that to heart and realize like, hey, I just need to matter to the people that matter. Luck is very important. I admit I got really, really lucky in having stumbled upon this idea. I happened to be in the right place at the right time, but you can always increase your odds of when you get lucky by just kind of feeling things out and just exploring all that the world has to offer, to watching trends and such. So what is it like to have a business? You're your own boss, you work wherever, whenever, on whatever you want. And the wherever is pretty cool. We're able to work on the road. Anytime we have an internet connection, all of our applications are browser-based, so we don't even need to have our specific computer. We just need to be able to log on to our accounting system, our e-commerce system, and be able to do work from there. Whenever is really important to me. I tend to be a night owl. Most of this week I've been sleeping at 5 a.m. partly to work on this. I put a lot of work into this. And that's just where I kind of find my groove, and that's where I'm most productive. And not being confined to that 9 to 5 schedule is really important to me. And being able to work on whatever too. You can learn and do everything, or if you don't want to, you can hire it out. I've personally found that whenever I hire something out, not whenever, but a lot of the times I found that after hiring something out, I wasn't satisfied with the work, and I got it done for much more efficiently and effectively because I know exactly what I want. It's not the fault of the contractor, but just because you know exactly what you want. And it's kind of good to kind of put yourself at that beginner's perspective again and humble yourself and learn something new. They always talk about in success and happiness, books and articles, that one of the highest indicators of employee satisfaction and productivity is a sense of ownership. Being able to take charge of your own project from end to end, and being able to have latitude from your manager to really own it. And it doesn't get much higher than having your own business, because it is all you. Like, if it fails, it's all you. If it succeeds, well, if it succeeds, it includes a lot of other people, but in the end, you're the decision maker. And it's just really, really fulfilling to be able to look at this and say like, oh, wow, like, I coordinated the production of this thing. And you meet some really, really fascinating people. Just recently, I met this guy, Antonio Centeno. He does the style articles for artofmanliness.com, really, really cool website. He also has his own custom suit company. He runs his own style system where he walks men through like rebuilding their wardrobe. And I'm only mentioning him among all the so many really cool people that I met recently because as a result of having this business was because he was the most recent. And what happened was he was going to go to Vegas for a trade conference. And I said, hey, he put out in his email, like, hey, if you're in town, grab a beer or coffee with me, just email me. And I emailed him, I said, hey, are you still free for a beer or coffee? I'm only 5 hours away in San Diego. And he said, if you're willing to drive 10 hours just to see me, then, yeah, I could spare 30 minutes for you. So I went out, I met up with him, and immediately he was just, really, really fascinated with what I've created here. And he was just, offering free strategy tips and helping me brainstorm what to do next. And just really, really cool people. The entrepreneur circle is very, it's just very interesting people. You can make a lot of money. I haven't yet, but it's getting there. You make money in your sleep, and on the flip side, you might not make money even when you're working. All that time that I spent building up to that crowdfunding campaign, I didn't get paid for any of it. And a lot of the times you might put a lot of effort into making a new product that might not do well. You might try a new ad campaign that people absolutely hate, and you just don't know. I wouldn't say it's a crapshoot, but there is a risk to it. You're not being paid by the hour. You're not paying on a salary like arrangement, so you might not make money even when you are working. This is me in a sleeping bag in the middle of the Anza Desert. I was there with Ethan. He took this picture, and I remember thinking during this camping trip, like, oh man, like I haven't seen any sales for a while. And then after the weekend, having no connection to the internet, I come back home and I see I have another $2,000 in the bank account, and that is, oh my god, that is a good feeling. So, if you are interested in starting something on your own, you ask, how do I start? Pretty much the same thing. Read the 4-Hour Workweek, have an accountability group, and pursue interests and hobbies, and the accompanying people. With interests and hobbies, I'd like to say that Facebook is actually a really, really good resource of connecting with people that are doing interesting things that you're getting interested in too. I know there's like a lot of articles talking about how like Facebook is terrible for your self-esteem because you only see like the positive side of people, and it just feels like everybody's in a bragging contest, but I don't see it that way. I see it as a way for me to loosely connect with people and just kind of drop in a very non-invasive way. So, for example, we started hanging out with Kat and John again because Cherry got into the lingerie thing, and I started getting into guns, and now we have really great friends. So,
We're awesome guns, guys.
basically, all that matters in life, right? And another instance was, I have a childhood friend named Michael. I knew him in kindergarten. We never went to school together again, but we kind of just like ran into each other because he was just from the neighboring town. And I saw on Facebook that he was working for a startup that sells condoms. They have a 1-for-1 model, kind of like Tom's. And I was like, dude, this is really cool. So I just messaged him on Facebook, and like we've been talking about like just talking shop since then, talking about like sourcing, manufacturing, product development, how to find business development, how to find partnerships, and just marketing. And we've been able to vibe really well because of that. And this is a guy I knew in kindergarten. You know, it was just really cool being able to have Facebook as for this tool. And a lot of our business marketing is done on Facebook too. And so, kind of want to open the floor for any questions that you guys have. Holla at me, and if you don't think of the questions right now, this is my about.me/MountainEvan. It's kind of like my online business card. It has all my profiles below, and or you can just grab me on Facebook. I'm sure we have a ton of mutual friends. So, questions?